Hello, welcome to the course. This is Gaston College's Bio 161 course, an Intro to Human Biology. I will be your instructor, Mr. Jason Moir, and in this video we'll go over how the course will work, especially because it's an online course, how you'll be graded, how you'll do the test, how you access all the assignments, and so on. And even though the course title is an Introduction to Human Biology, what the course really is an introduction to human anatomy and physiology. So we'll cover a good amount of material this semester. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, as I mentioned, of course this is an online course, so you absolutely must have access to a stable and reliable internet connection. Every assignment that you do will be online. So you need to be able to access Blackboard. When you get into Blackboard, it'll look very similar to this. I will be posting a welcome message here shortly after this video post. And this is what you will see. Everything that you need will be on these links, and we'll go over some of these. Not all of them, but some of them, some of the more important ones. All right, the first screen that you'll see will be this one, the announcements page. I would make a note to check this frequently. I would check it every 2 to 3 days or so. Any important announcements about testing changes or exam changes or anything about the course in general. Make sure that you are checking this on a regular basis. And all these announcements will be kept in sequential order. So the first announcement I post will be listed here. The next message I post will be put right on top of it. So all of these will be kept throughout the entire semester. All right, first we'll go over here, the course information. Here you'll have links to the course syllabus, course schedule, grading policy, participation policy, some hints and tips about mastering A&P, which is something we'll talk about in a great deal here in a few minutes. But we'll start with the course syllabus. All right, and that brings us to our course syllabus. If you have a question about the class, about how it's graded, about how it's going to work, odds are very, very high that the answer to your question is found here in the syllabus. So if you have a question, check the syllabus first. And if you still aren't sure on what to do, then please contact me. This is a fairly lengthy document. I encourage you to read it all. We'll cover some of the more important points here now. Bio 161 and then our semester, fall 2019. My name, my phone numbers, both in my office at the Dallas campus and then cell phone. This is for both calls and for text. My email, moir.jason@gaston.edu. My office on campus in Dallas is in the Roush building, 216. And the preferred method of contact is either email or text. And you can text this number here. I always have my phone with me, and I prefer email and text because that way there's a record of you contacting me and a record of me contacting you back. Now, if you call my office or stop by my office, I may or may not be there. All right, a course description, a basic survey of human biology, which is really just another term to say human anatomy. We'll talk about the basic structure and function of the various body systems, medical terminology, and certain diseases also. Credit hours, this is a 3-hour class. There is no lab component to it. There are no prerequisites. All right, textbook, The Essentials of Human Anatomy and Physiology, the 12th edition by Elaine Marieb. And then online software is called Modified Mastering A&P from Pearson. This is incredibly important. Because this is an online course, every assignment that you do will be online. Every assignment except for one this semester is done through Mastering A&P. If you can't access this, you can't do your assignments. Course technology requirements. It's an online class. You have to have access to the internet, either through a tablet or your phone at your residence or using the computer labs, but you have to have access to a internet connection. Microsoft Office 365, that is offered free from the campus, so if you'd like to download that for free, you can follow this link. This next section explains how Chromebooks aren't really a good match when it comes to Blackboard or online classes in general. And it's just a lot more stable and much more preferred if you use Firefox or Safari. This next part is in bold for a very important reason. Not having the software that you need and not having access to the internet is not an excuse for not being able to turn in your work. Because it's an online class, the assumption is you have access to the internet in order to do your work. There are computer labs on all 3 campuses at the college. So again, not having access to the software or internet connection is still no excuse for not turning in any assigned work. Part 2, the course details. See the class attendance and participation. The college policy is you must be active at least 90% in a class in order to be an active participant. If you are not active in a class, us instructors, we have the right to remove you from the class. So you will have at least one assignment every single week throughout the course. So not turning those in, or not checking in on Blackboard at least once a week, you'll be seen as being inactive. And if you are inactive for 21 days, I can remove you from the course. I don't like to do that. I haven't done that in the past. But in a class like this, if you aren't active on at the very least, weekly basis, you're not going to do well anyway. So it's very easy to get a little bit behind. And if you get a little bit behind, you're going to get way behind. So the key is to stay active. And if you have questions about anything, please contact me. All right, this line in bold and in red for a very important reason. The last day to withdraw from a course for this fall semester is November 7th. If you are on a class roster after that date, you have to get a grade, A, B, C, D, or F. If you try to withdraw, you automatically get an F. If I try to withdraw you, you automatically get an F. But if you are not sure whether or not you need to stick around in the class, talk to me before this deadline. Because after that deadline, I can't do anything to help you. My bosses can't do anything to help you. Probably the more important things you're watching this video for is how this class will be graded. All right, this class will be graded on accumulation of points from various assignments. Chapter quizzes, chapter study modules, the midterm and final exam, something called the General Education Outcome Project or GEO project, and then your very first assignment, the discussion board icebreaker. And here's how all those break down. 13 chapter quizzes, 13 study modules, midterm, final, icebreaker, and then the GEO, for a total of 2,000 possible points. Now this first bullet point here is in red and in bold. Because this is an online course, we have to have an assignment that's due within the first week. That's just a college policy. So you will have to have your discussion board icebreaker submitted no later than Sunday, August 25th at 11:59 p.m. If you do not do this assignment, you will be removed from the class. That's not my policy, that's the college policy. You can do it anytime from when the course is available on Monday the 19th of August and up to that deadline. And this doesn't mean start it at 11:59 p.m. That means it has to be submitted by 11:59 p.m. on Sunday the 25th. And that's the only assignment that you'll have all semester that's not done through the software package we talked about earlier, that Mastering A&P. So this is done on the discussion board, and I'll show you where exactly that is here in a few minutes. All right, you will have a chapter quiz each week. The quizzes will be due on Sunday of that week before midnight. They'll be made available on Friday mornings. So at 12:01 a.m. on Friday, they'll be made available. So really just after midnight Thursday night, where it becomes officially Friday morning. So you have all day Friday, all day Saturday, all day Sunday to take the quiz. Also each week you'll have a study module. Those are due by Fridays of each week. And they are available the entire semester. So if you wanted, you could do 2 or 3 or 4 or every chapter study module right now if you wanted to. So the days to remember throughout the course are Fridays and Sundays. Study modules are due Fridays, and the quizzes are due by Sundays. And there are 2 exceptions for this. The very first week of class and the very last week of class. For this very first week, I'll have everything due on Sunday the 25th. Next is the grading scale. This is the standard grading scale for all classes in the Arts and Science Division. It's a 10-point scale. So 90 to 100% would be an A, 80 to 89 is a B, and so on. Makeup policy. There are no makeups available for any unexcused absence. Just because you forgot to turn in something on Friday night, that's still no excuse. For any unexcused missed assignment, you will just get a 0. So there are no makeups for those, and there are no chances for extra credit either. Now, if something comes up, say an emergency situation, that's a little bit different. That would be an excused absence. Next is our course schedule. Chapter 1, Human Body Orientation. 2 is Basic Chemistry. Chapter 3, Cells and Tissues. Chapter 5, Skeletal System. Chapter 6, Muscular System. And then Chapter 7, the Nervous System. Then is our midterm exam. Our midterm will cover information covered in the first 6 chapters. After the midterm, we'll get into the endocrine system, the blood, the cardiovascular system, respiratory system, digestive system, urinary system, and then finally end the course with the reproductive system. And then we'll have our final exam. Our final exam is not cumulative. It covers information from the midterm and forward. So basically chapter 9 and on to 16. So it does not cover the entire semester, just the second half of the semester. And then our final exam, the earliest I can make our final exam available is Friday, December 6th at 4 p.m. Also, near the link where you clicked on the syllabus to open it, there's a box that's indicated mark as read. I need you to, at some point in the first week or so, go ahead and take the time to read through the syllabus, not just the parts that we're going over now, but read it over closely, because what this is a contract. By marking that you have read the syllabus, you are agreeing to all the terms within the syllabus. This, where it says mark reviewed, that will let me know that you have read the syllabus, and then I can issue you a grade at the end. All right, part 3, policies and procedures, best practices. All right, we'll start with students' rights. What, as a student, you have the right to expect. See the first one. On the first day, the instructor will provide students with a course syllabus. What that explains objectives, grading policies, and classroom policies. And that's what this video is accomplishing. We're going over the syllabus. We'll go over how the course will work. See, assignments will be graded and returned in a timely manner. Even though it says within 1 week, I usually have the grades posted within 1 day. So when you have your quizzes on Sunday nights, those scores will be updated no later than mid-morning on Monday. All right, what I have the right to expect from you as your instructor, I expect that you will read the syllabus, and if you have questions or need clarification, you will please ask. You will complete your assignments independently and on time, and of course that you will obtain all the required text and all the required materials that you need. The next one, the SPSP, the Student Persistence and Success Plan. As your instructor, we are here to help you do the best that you can in our classes. So if something comes up in your life that is preventing you from doing your best, maybe an emergent financial issue that's preventing you from getting the book and the software, the college is here to help, as best we can. So if something like that does come up, then you are encouraged to call this number. Student behavior policies, of course, treating each other with respect, being honest when you do your work. This next section goes over the various kinds of cheating, whether it be plagiarism or multiple submissions or so on. If it's deemed that you are or have been cheating in the course, not only will you be kicked out of the class, you'll be almost certainly removed from the college. So it is certainly not worth it to cheat on your assignments. Academic complaints. If you have issues with the course or with me, hopefully neither, but if you do, here are ways to contact my bosses. The chair of the science department, Dr. Armstrong, her office and her phone number, her email, and then her boss, the dean of the Arts and Science Division, Ms. Broom, her office, her phone number, and her email. See, next one, the ADA statement. If you have the need for an accommodation for the class, that has to be verified by our counselors at Gaston College. It doesn't matter if you had one at your previous school. I can't just take your word for it that you need more time for assignments. I have to rely on the counseling center to provide me with documentation before I can issue that. Think you have a need for any accommodation with a class, then you're asked to contact our counseling center here, and they will walk you through the process of getting approved for various accommodations. Then they will let your instructors know which ones that you do need. And those are the bigger points for this syllabus. Again, I encourage you to read through it all, not just the parts that I briefly covered, but take the time to read through it. And if you have any questions, if you need anything clarified, then just let me know. Our course schedule. All right, this has the day and time of every single assignment that's due this semester. So there's absolutely no excuse to not say, well, I didn't know that this module was due this date, or this quiz was due this date. This entire schedule is listed not only here, but it's also listed on Mastering A&P. And again, the days to remember are Fridays and Sundays. Modules are due by Friday nights. You can do it anytime before then. And then the quizzes are due no later than Sunday nights. And there were 2 exceptions to that. This very first week of class and very last week of class. For the very first week, I have everything due on Sunday the 25th. So the icebreaker is due by then, along with the study module and the quiz by then. The study modules are a very, very good tool to help you reinforce the information, both from the textbook and from my lecture notes. And then starting with Chapter 2, it goes back to the regular Friday and Sunday schedule. But this has every single day of every single assignment when they're due. And the exception is the very last week where we get to Chapter 16. I have both the study module and the quiz due on the same day because that is the last day of the semester before exam week starts. And when it comes to the final exam, it will be made available on Friday, December 6th at 4 p.m. and it is due by December 9th, just before midnight. See, the next 2 sections, the grading policy and participation policy, these are taken directly from the syllabus. It's just more isolated on its own document. So this text is identical to what we just saw in our syllabus. So if you want to have something more concentrated on just participation or just the grading policies, those are here. So again, with the participation policy, again, exactly the same text verbatim from the syllabus, just on its own document. And for getting started with Mastering A&P is a good document that can assist you logging in and then accessing it. All right, so that's course information, faculty information, my picture there, ways to contact me, my email, my phone numbers, office location, and then my office hours. Again, I'm on the Dallas campus at these times, and a little more background on me down here. All right, the next 2 sections are lecture notes and lecture videos. For the lecture notes, these will be grouped in 2 or 3 chapters at a time. So the first link that you see are the first 3 chapters. So all the notes will be posted ahead of time. So right now, as you saw, the first 3 chapters are already available with the notes. As we get into probably another week or so, I'll put up the next set of lecture notes. And they're all in PowerPoints. Now what I've also done is posted lecture videos. And what these are videos of me giving the lecture with these notes. And I do that for a few reasons. Some people can just read the PowerPoint notes and be fine with the material and not have any questions. Other people need to hear it explained by an instructor. So I give the same lecture I would if this were a seated class. So it's the same notes, it's just me giving a lecture over them. And the links to all those are on my YouTube channel here. And every chapter will have a link to a video to go along with it. And does that matter to me if you just use the PowerPoint notes or the lecture videos, or if you want to use both, that's perfectly fine. You do whatever works best for you. But they are both available for every chapter throughout the course. All right, Mastering A&P, we'll get to that last because that's a very big component of the course. Move on now to the discussion board. So here is where you will post your icebreaker assignment. And all that is a way for you to introduce yourself to other members of the class. Just take a few minutes to introduce yourself, why you're taking the class, any concerns you have about the class, if there's any body system or any topic that you're looking forward to covering. So it doesn't have to be an essay. I'm not wanting 1,000 words here, but I don't want 1 sentence either. So just 3 to 4 sentences posted here. And again, it has to be posted no later than this Sunday, August 25th, 2019, by midnight. If you have general questions about the class, so go ahead and post that here. I will be checking this discussion board multiple times every day. And then every chapter has its own thread that you can post questions on. This makes sure that you are posting in the correct chapter number. So if you have a question on Chapter 2, don't post that question in Chapter 10's thread. Alright, next, we'll talk about Mastering A&P. And because Mastering A&P is such a large component, I wanted to save this for last. before you can use Mastering A&P, you have to be able to access the Mastering A&P software. And there are some very common issues that come up with the software. So we'll cover those first, and then we'll come back to our Blackboard page here and talk about information there. Alright, first of all, Mastering A&P is required for this course. Now, every study module is done through Mastering A&P. Every chapter quiz is done through Mastering A&P. Your midterm and your final are all based from Mastering A&P. So you must have an access, or you must be able to log in and use that software correctly. Because if you don't, you're not going to do well in the course. Secondly, you will need an access code to log in and to use Mastering A&P. Now, students fall into one of three categories typically when it comes to this software. One, you bought a brand new textbook from the bookstore on campus and it has the access code with it. Or you bought a new textbook from the bookstore and it doesn't have the access code. Or three, you have either rented the book or you bought the book from someplace other than our bookstore. Kindle, Amazon, so on. So we'll go over what you need to do in each of these situations. Alright, first, if you bought the new textbook from our bookstore and it has access code, then you are fine. You don't need to do anything. Just make sure that you're able to log in to Mastering A&P, but you log in from Blackboard. Do not go through the publisher's website. Log in from Blackboard, because all you need is the access code that's given to you within the book. If you don't log in from Blackboard directly, I won't see that you have completed the work. And if I don't see that you've done it, then I'm going to assume that you didn't, and you'll get a 0. Alright, second, this is the one that's the most involved. If you bought a brand new textbook from the bookstore and it doesn't have the access code, you can return it for one that does have the code. But you must have the receipt in order to exchange the books, because you cannot exchange the books without one. If you bought the book using your financial aid, your receipt can be looked up through a database, even if you don't have your paper receipt. Make sure that when you're getting the new book, that it says Modified Mastering A&P. If it doesn't have the word modified in it, then you're getting something different. So you must be using Modified Mastering A&P. If you don't have the receipt, then you must buy an access code from the publisher directly. There's no way I can get around that. But if you use financial aid to buy it, your receipt can be looked up. But if you pay it out of pocket, or if you can't find a receipt, you have to purchase it from the publisher directly. And scenario number 3, you either rented the book or you bought it from somewhere else other than the Gaston College bookstore, then you must buy the access code from the publisher. And there are 2 formats you can buy it in. One comes with an electronic textbook, and one doesn't. It depends on what you want. The one that has a textbook is a little more expensive than the one that doesn't, but of course you're getting more information and more resources. Alright, so now we've covered the issues that come up with Mastering A&P. Now we'll get into how it looks when you log in and what everything does. Okay, now we've talked about the main issues that come with Mastering A&P and how to access it correctly. Go into how it looks when you first get there. Then once you are able to log in, you will see these links for the Mastering A&P Home, the assignments, the EText. That's an electronic version of the textbook. It's identical to the hard copy. If you choose to not buy a hard copy of the textbook and only rely on the electronic version, that's fine. But remember, you will still have to buy the access code to the Mastering A&P software. So we'll start with the course home. Right, once you get into the main site of Mastering A&P, mine will look a little bit different than yours since I'm the instructor. But the biggest thing you want to focus on are the assignments. And once you click on there, you can see every assignment, the same list of assignments that were on the PDF document from earlier, but it's laid out here in another location. You can look at it in this format or in a calendar format. As you hover over each one, it tells you information on when it is available and when it is due. Like for example, the biggest day coming up in this first week of class, the 25th. The study module for Chapter 1, saying that it's available now. That's why it's highlighted in green. And it is due Sunday the 25th by 11:59. The Chapter 1 quiz, not available yet. It will be made available Friday the 23rd, but due by that Sunday night. And this one is listed as an assignment. The introduction to Mastering A&P, it's not really an assignment. It's really a tutorial. If you've never used this kind of software, I encourage you to take the tutorial. It just gives you an idea of how things work, and how to take various kinds of quizzes, how to do the study modules. It's not an assignment. I'm not going to see who has completed it and who hasn't, but it's a good introduction to the the software, since you'll be using it so much throughout the semester. And as you look at this in a calendar format, it's all color coordinated. So all study modules have this light purple background here, and all quizzes have a school bus colored square next to it. If you choose to use the EText, the electronic textbook, again, identical to the physical copy of the book that you may buy, and this has a breakdown of all the different sections. But again, if you use this and not a physical hardcover book, you'll still need to buy the access code to use Mastering A&P. If you go to the study area, this is a good source for practice materials. So you can get practice materials by chapter, you get practice tests, reading quizzes, and so on. And again, these are not assignments. This is just a place to find extra practice or extra help if you need it. Flashcards here, there are interactive animations and so on. So it's a good resource here. I would definitely take some time to take a look at it. But most likely the biggest thing that you'll spend your time on here are the assignment. Because again, every assignment except the icebreaker that's due this first week will be done through Mastering A&P. So you'll be spending a great deal of your time there. So that is a brief introduction to this course and how it will work. If you have any questions, if I need to clarify anything, either in the syllabus or in this video, definitely contact me. Don't feel that you are contacting me too much. I would much rather you contact me over and over and over again to clarify something rather than you assume you can figure it out and then end up doing poorly on a quiz when you didn't have to. Don't be shy about contacting me if you have a question. That's what we're here for as instructors. So again, if you have questions, let me know. I hope everyone has a great semester.